Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Archer class event. This event only lasts for today, so you have about 20 hours more, or whenever the end of today is, into tomorrow's reset. So as far as this event, it is a pretty dull one actually. It is for the Archer class. Archer class doesn't really excel at anything. There is a pretty interesting Black Beast team I'll be showing with it, but that's about the only thing it's really good for the most part. It's very well-rounded, but it doesn't really excel at much, which is the big problem. This week, as far as the class, it's definitely a good time to not do the event. Maybe if you wanted for leaderboard, but other than the event itself, there isn't much to choose from. As you can see, we have a very large variety of choice here. We have either these 5 or nothing. So yeah, not much. Basically what you do is just go Mang, double Owl Rider into Lady Orderial, because, well, that's all you really have, and then you eventually replace out Thorn Knight once you reach the later battles, because you'll want his Entangle, just so they don't do skull damage to you. But of course, for the earlier ones, you'd want double Owl Rider, which will end up doing the 2 extra yellows, which you could do into quick mana, and then you could just keep poking them off for the earlier battles. And then you just get the Entangle in there. And that's basically it. It's obviously there's almost no other choice other than that. Just because, well, there is almost nothing to choose from. Of course, it's restricted to Elf and Forest of Thorns, because those are the 2 typing of the hero class itself. But unfortunately, that doesn't really cover anything. Let's go take a skull poke. Basically, hey, we got a bullseye there. That's one of the perks, of course, from this hero class. 2 of them. That makes it somewhat decent. Automatically starts with half mana, and it also has a 50% chance to instant kill when it does skulls. One really annoying thing about that, though, which is one of the reasons why Assassin is better than it, well, 2 reasons. The main annoying thing with it is if you hit this on anything that has any amount of Skull Reflect, you will instantly die, whereas Assassin will not. So let's say you hit it on 25% Skull Reflect or Gloom Leaf with 50%. If you hit Bullseye on it, you will get hit with infinite Reflect damage, and yeah, it will just instantly go down, which is not good. Other than that, the reason why Assassin's actually better with Skulls, even though it's this does have technically the highest instant kill at 15%, even though Assassin's is 10%, the reason it's better is because it hits the last enemy instead of first. This is just hitting what you're already hitting with Skulls, so you're already losing a lot of your value. Like, let's say we hit it with a 50, they have, like, let's say 100 total durability, then that Bullseye is only doing 50 additional damage, whereas if the Assassin, if we're hitting first slot with Assassin with 50, and then we're instant killing something with 100 that's all the way in last slot, well, we got a lot more value out of that, and overall, as far as percents are going, Assassin actually does overall more damage than what this 15% Bullseye thing does. Though it can be very, it can come in at a perfect time, though, to basically just kill out your enemy. It's also slightly better against things like, let's say, Gorgoltha and such, where you kind of want to hope that you just randomly get a kill on it, just so you don't have to deal with its reduction. But other than that, very rarely would it come into play otherwise. So we'll take that out, and let's actually go over the class itself. So, of course, same rewards as always, just the EXP and such, and the same shop as always, which you would only use if you're bothering for leaderboard or to try to get the orb. That's all the way at the end, of course. But let's go over now and take our tribute, and then go and show what this class can actually do. So, if we go under games, and we go under the, well, I guess we'll go this way. This is not the way I meant to get here, but I believe we can actually get here this way. There we go. So if we go over this, as I mentioned earlier, it counts as a Elf and as a Forest of Thorns. If you end up getting all of the leveling from it, once you get it upgraded with souls, it counts as both. Other than that, its weapon ends up doing a single amount of damage. It removes one of their gems colors, and then based on how many it removes, it ends up boosting the effect. So it doesn't actually destroy or anything. It's a relatively lackluster weapon, something you would basically never use, as a good majority of hero weapons you would never even touch. Other than that, of course, we have the 2 traits I mentioned earlier, 0.5% mana start, which isn't as good as it used to be. This used to be really good back when there was a lot of, or there was very few options, so actually half mana your hero. But now there's so many options that you don't really need Archer anymore. And as I mentioned already, the bad side of Bullseye, it is technically the highest instant kill on any hero, but it does have a lot of ways to backfire, and it's already just instant killing what you're doing damage to anyways, since you need to take skulls to even try to trigger it. As far as its trees, nothing too exceptionally good. The only tree that it has that is decent is Cunning. So, as far as what you generally go, you go for either the 8 armor or the Hunter's Mark. Almost always you're going to be going the Hunter's Mark, though, just because it ends up doing a lot more damage. Really, really insanely powerful. Other than that, its next 3 are completely useless, just because they're too magic for 3 different things. Very rarely would you ever use any of these 3, though more often than not, it'd probably be a bow or a missile. In this case, probably bows. As far as its next ones, you either go for 5 gold per turn if you want some gold, or you go for the more offensive option, or defensive technically, which is entangling the first enemy at the start of battle so that you don't need to deal with their skulls for a few turns, if nothing else. Other than that, it has a nice little leaf storm that can come in, or you can use it for the 50% bandits, which we'll be utilizing for its main purpose, actually, with a black beast team. It's very, very useful for that. It can also just be very annoying to your enemies. Other than earlier on in the game, I wouldn't really bother with it and would say that the Leaf Storm would probably be better value. And I will be switching to that after we show the first team, but there is some really funny things that you can do with that. Next up, you would either go for 5 armor onto all greens, or you would end up going for the extra attacks onto either the yellow or on goblins. Very rarely would you actually use this with goblins. It almost has nothing for elves. Actually, the only thing that it ever gets for elves is this thing. It gives all elf allies 1 magic and 1 attack at the start of battle, which isn't even that good. So I don't even know why it's on this far of a tree or anything like that. It's pretty lackluster, to say the least, and because of that, there isn't much synergy with this with elves, even though it is technically an elf itself. Normally, you would end up using the 30% chance to dodge on skulls, but in the first team, I will actually be utilizing this unique combo that it has. It's the only hero class that has the bandit 50% summon into the 25% chance to summon something whenever you cast a spell. And this in combination makes Black Beast very, very, very ridiculously powerful. And that's it. Basically, the whole purpose of this hero class is actually this combo. I wouldn't really use it for much else other than that. Of course, you can utilize its other traits, but most of the teams that you would use with it, you'd be better off just using a more focused hero class. And as far as level 100, similar to many hero classes, it's pretty bad. Biggest issue with this level 100s that it has is none of them are elf related. If one of these were elf related, it would probably be a different story, but none of them are. It's War Gear, Strix, and Rogues, and the closest you're really going to normally get is probably using Rogues, and maybe Strix, but probably Rogues with this hero class, so you're not really going to be getting too much of a benefit, really, from having these final perks. But anyways, let's go now and show 3 teams. The main one I want to show, and the most viable one by a very long shot, is a Black Beast version of this team. So as you can see here, Black Beast, Mountain Crusher, Divinia, Stargazer. If you do not have Divinia, you can use Herdmaster, and if you use Herdmaster, that actually makes this team ridiculously low rarity. Ultra rare, and rare. Of course, we're using Divinia, though, which is a legend, just because it gives us HP, gives us positive stats effects, and it does everything. It's really, really good support, gives us the mana we need. But basically, the whole premise of what we're going to be doing here is immediately use Stargazer onto Black Beast. We then try getting anything to full mana, and then just go from there. So, I'll move that over. Well, it looks like we got an enchant off of that. Very nice. We'll go and just get ourselves a bunch of attack onto that. Get a little bit of cascaded mana. Skull, we could go take immediately. It will give us mana since we have the Doom Skull there, so I guess we will go for it. We're gonna get a little bit more mana. Divinia will be up in 2 turns, even if we don't take any mana for it, so I guess that'll be the game plan here. And we'll get this to full mana. So, of course, we use Stargazer mainly just to get its attack buff immediately onto first slot, because the intention that we have for it is we are killing it immediately. So what we do is we go kill it, and as you can see right there, we ended up summoning a bandit. There's a 50% chance that will happen. Even if that does not happen, what we will be able to do is go and have a 25% chance that we then summon a Heronip. So basically all we have to do is keep casting, and as you can see, it is ridiculously easy just to keep the Black Beast going. You keep getting cleansed, so you don't need to worry about a tango or anything. Herdmaster does the same thing, just without HP buff. And yeah, you just keep repeating this, and even if we don't get that, what we can start doing now is keep casting, and every cast we have, if we wouldn't automatically accidentally win, would have a 25% chance of summoning a hero, and if including its own cast, can do it before it even does a target. So if you're really in a pinch and you didn't have any other mana generator, you could use this, you could cast them, and then that 25% could actually get a summon off the Heronif that you can then go and devour. And then even that summon, once you get it, still has a 50% chance it becomes a bandit. And essentially what you do is you just keep doing that over and over and over again. I'm actually going to show it again, just so you can, so we could hopefully show that. But just, you just keep going over and over again in an endless cycle of infinitely feeding your Black Beast to plow down the entire enemy team. And this also really utilizes the Hunter's Mark mechanic that we have too, where we end up Hunter's Marking every single time we take an extra turn, so it works out really well. and it's the only thing that Archer class does better than any other hero class in the game, and that's about as far as it goes, because everything else Archer does is not too particularly good for the most part. But we'll go take that out, get a little bit of attack there. Of course, he would agile. Sorry, we're not taking your attack buff. We'll just go for the kill there. And now we actually get to use the hero if aspect of this. So this time around, as you can see, we did not trigger to 50%. Now what we basically do is keep casting over and over again with Mountain Crusher and Divinia. And every single time we do, there is a 25% chance. Apparently, we're getting pretty unlucky. But there's a 25% chance that we would end up summoning a hero. As you saw right there, we ended up getting it. And we could either use its ability to get a green storm if we really wanted to, and some armor, or we could just simply kill it, and now we're back to the whole bandit spam again. And yeah, that's basically it. Of course, we have Hunter's Mark, so if we were already one-shotting them, which we are, we would super one-shot them, so don't really need to worry about whatever their durability is. And yeah, you just keep repeating that until you win. And in the case of a Divinia there, you're basically never going to die. And if you use Herdmaster, it's slightly quicker, though you do have a chance of dying since you aren't getting HP every single time you cast. And we'll just take a skull that does 270-something damage, and that is Archer class. That's basically the only thing you would ever use it for. Unfortunately, even though that team is ridiculously strong, it's not quicker than the meta. But yeah, if you're planning on using Archer or leveling Archer, that's along the lines of what you would use to do so. Anyways, let me go over 2 other teams just real quick, though. Neither of these are as good as the previous, but here is Green Seer, Giant Spider, Infinite Loop into Shadow Blade. I think we'll be able to use off of this as we gain 1 magic every single time from this thing being fully traded. Let me actually go and change my perks though real quick. As I mentioned, I was mainly only using some of those perks because of the team that we're using. So let me actually go now and switch back to a Green Storm, because you wouldn't normally use backup this late in the game otherwise. And other than that, of course, we'd want the 30% skull dodge if we're using our hero up front instead of the summon on the hero. So basically, we're getting rid of all of the things that we were using to summon and instead going with just the storm and the dodge. But we'll be using this little rogue thing, keep getting magic every single time, infinitely loop it, and basically just keep getting Shadow Blade. Really wish Shadow Blade automatically got a extra turn automatically. That would be so ridiculously good if it did, but unfortunately, it doesn't. I guess that would be a little bit overpowered. I am using Prey Seeker in this. You don't have to, but it's Prey Seeker is basically the best epic weapon in the game if you happen to have it around. It is one of those kind of like old ones. You don't really need this. It's really, really high true damage. It ends up doing double damage if they're Hunter's Marked, and of course we're using Archer, so we have very, very high chance of Hunter's Marking them. And when fully upgraded, it also explodes a skull, creates 3 greens, and Hunter's Marks everything on the opposing team. And that combination of things is pretty useful. And we're actually going to be getting a lot of skulls if we actually get this loop going. So let me go move this over, take a bunch of that down, go get a nice Green Seer here, and hopefully we can get it rolling off of that. I believe we can here, so we'll go get that. There's not quite enough mana yet. Let's see. And do we have any movements that are going to be worth it? I obviously don't really want that skull. It's not really going to do much for us here. And now we can start getting it rolling. So basically what we do, every single time we take an extra turn, we're going to be gaining 1 magic for him. We're going to be getting a lot of skulls. When it comes to Archer, you do not really want to use Doom Skull spam. You want to use, if you're going to be using anything, use skull-related spam that has the capability of constantly poking the enemy. You only want a lot of very, very small pokes onto the enemy. So we're going to go move that down real quick, because every single time we have a 50% chance to instant kill them when we do it this way. So that's basically the whole thing we're going for. And of course, we converted everything out with purple. And now that we don't really have much of a board, what we can go do is kind of just do this for a little bit and just keep spamming that down until we don't have enough. And then hopefully we'll have alignment on the other thing. Doesn't look like we do, but we'll just go for the brown here. Way more than enough mana, even though it's not an extra turn. It'll get us going again. He'll hit us some. And we hopefully have alignment here, and it looks like we do. So we'll get rid of these reds. Ideally, we'll have a follow-up to that, and it was kind of go from there. Whenever we would just want to sit on this, we can just keep spamming it down. Otherwise, we can just keep spamming this and trying to get as many skulls as we can, and just infinitely loop that way. One other nice thing about this team is it is relatively cheap. Again, you don't really need Prey Seeker. We're probably not even going to use it a single time this battle, but all you need is Green Seer, Giant Spider, and this, which is relatively cheap. It's epic, ultra rare, as far as the team is concerned. And do we have 13 plus? Yeah, I guess we'll go for a skull real quick, kill that out. Would you really summon? Okay, this is slightly annoying, but we'll take that skull. Still haven't gotten a single instant kill when we actually need it, though, unfortunately. So we'll take that extra turn. Don't think we have enough on it yet, so we'll actually go get our purples that we need, just so we can go and kind of just loop this, or not really loop this, but, you know, spam it constantly. Just keep poking it with various true damage, which I always found very funny. I always wanted this thing to be, like, super, super viable. I love the premise of it. Same as, like, Raven and such. It's just, in most teams, they don't really function enough to be worth using. He's gonna get another summon here, But I guess we'll hit a Prey Seeker on him just to start lowering him down. That, of course, is double. I was hoping we kind of get some kind of mana or something to land there. Could still easily get the kill. This team is very loopy, so if we get another Prey Seeker on him or something, that'd be good to go. Ideally, we'll have an alignment here. Looks like we do to a slight degree, and that's enough to get our mana going back again. So I think I am going to go for it. Go for the Brown again. Have him Hunter's Mark now, too. See, what do we really need here? Well, we got the Skull. At this point, we might as well just Skull kill him, because obviously we don't want to end our turn, and we'll just kill it with that. And there we go. We ended up with 43, so basically every single turn we could just do 43 damage to him at that point. And yeah, not really anything greatly over the top, but that's basically what it could do. And can we actually take out a Divine team with this last one? I'm not sure we can, but we're going to be going with Mountain Crusher, Forest Guardian, Divine Ishbala, and Skyla. This one is particularly using the fact we have 15% Skull Kill. And just for fun, let's go try it against Divines. It's probably going to fail, though. But depends how lucky we get. This is when we're basically using this hero class as an assassin. We're banking on 30% Skull Dodge on our trait, as well as 15% instant kill off of this. And as I mentioned earlier, it is a lot better to do a lot of smaller skull hits with this. And that's essentially exactly what we're doing with this team, where the entirety of what we're going to be doing is just constantly hitting it over and over again with very small pokes in hopes that we either get Hunter's Mark in the right location, or we just instantly get those 15% kills. And nothing on his team has that skull reflect, so we don't need to worry about that. Another thing to keep in mind is exploded skulls do twice the amount of damage. So right here, we're about to explode, it looks like 4 skulls, or 5 skulls, or wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's actually going to do 12 damage to him. Oh no, it's actually enough to kill. So we're going to hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 skulls here. Wait, that's what I said the first time. And it's going to be 12 damage. But it basically, it doubles the amount of damage that it's going to be doing, essentially. Oh no, 7. Okay, I miscounted. Anyways, it's going to kill him is the bottom line. It's normally it would do 7 damage, but it's going to do 14, which is more than his durability. So we do that, he dies, because Hunter's Mark amplifies the damage. And there we go. And then you just keep using this double loop. It's a pretty decent one. Basically, you just throw Forest Guardian, then you throw Divine Ishbala, and never mind, we already won. But yeah, that's basically what it does. It's very similar to Assassin in how you do Skull Spam, except you're applying the instant kill to what you're already damaging some, and that's basically how it goes down. But yeah, those are basically the options you have with Archer. Is it really worth leveling? Not really. Obviously not really worth getting to 100. So getting it to 70, I guess it could be okay to keep around. But really, if you're not using it for the Black Beast team, I wouldn't really be using it at all. And that's about as far as you'd really go with it. It's the only thing it does that no other hero class can do better as of currently. But that's about it. That's it's kind of decent in early game teams, as you saw. I tried keeping most of them pretty cheap, except for that last one there. Black Beast teams can be very, very cheap with it. You don't need much. But that's about as far as you're really going to be using it for. Every other hero class excels at many other things, and you wouldn't really need to bring this out. It's well-rounded, but that's not good. Normally, you just want to be using hero classes that are excessively good at one specific thing, rather than a little bit good at just about everything. But anyways, guys, that is everything for this video. If you still have any other questions about the class or anything else, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye, everyone!